All right, Alan. First things first. I think before I get started, I do want to talk about this week. We're going to be doing the tier list post LAN, right? So we're going to definitely take the LAN into major effect. We're also going to be assuming, right, that the patch has already hit. So what that means is we're going to be kind of doing the tier list as if the patch is done and the characters have already been buffed.
Okay.
With that, make sure that everyone out there, because I know this is a question that gets asked a lot, the tier list is more about which character is good in what role. Its viability in picks and bans as a flex pick, or the ambiguity, is very powerful. So a character like Bellona becomes even stronger because you can put her in the solo. You can put her, jank in the mid, or she still is the best jungler, right? So it's very important that you're taking in the picks and bans phase as well as, the overall strength of the character. Joining me this week.
Ooh,
Oh,
fancy.
we got a fancy thing. Was that a donation? What's up, man? I think it's a muta too. It looks like a muta. But thank you very much, Blind Kid. This week, joining me instead of one of the Juice Kids is going to be one of the original Juice Kids, and that's Allied. Now, Allied, his team AFK just recently won the spring split LAN. They're going to be going to Brazil to play against the Latin American Brazilian champions. Allied also getting a fucking pentakill during the set, which I was very excited to cast. Allied, what is up?
Nothing. I'm glad you invited me to do this. I am excited because I've been, reading all the tier lists. I mean, everyone's pretty much made a version of your tier list, and to be with the original OG, and of course my buddy, I'm glad to help you out.
All right, so let's start it off here. I don't think there's anyone in D, so we're going to put the empty down there. I don't think there's anyone in SS, so we're going to leave that as well.
Okay.
We'll leave that last empty open to see if we put anyone in C tier. We also want to take Apwash, who's coming out this weekend. We're going to put him in the news section, and with that, Medusa will get placed this week. We do want to start off with Agni.
Now, at least for me, in picks and ban stage, Agni is generally like, you might see him in the first 2 picks, but usually he's like a 3rd, 4th pick kind of pick, just because like he does counter certain things like Isis. Like Isis has a really hard time against Agni just because of the way he plays the lane and the utility that Agni brings, especially with the stun. You can stun the Wind Gust. I mean, it's really hard to miss an Agni stun, but that's usually, at least in competitive play, no one first picks Agni, no one bans Agni. He's usually like a safe, like 2nd, 3rd, 4th pick. Like, we want to, like, it's more of a filler pick. It's like, we don't want to show off our strategy. All right, give me with the Agni. I'm just feeling Agni in this game. Brings a lot of bursts, etc.
I think he has some of the best mid-camp control, especially even at 3 minutes. Coming in with 2 bombs makes him one of the strongest characters for the early game, at least from the mages. Objective fight control is huge. I think the character is still absolutely great. Also, shout outs to the sub. My man 2Pi coming in with the 2 months. Allied, what do you think here?
I think Agni's like a strong A+. Like,
Okay.
He's still really strong. It's just more of like he's not favored in the meta. And I don't know if it's just because NA players don't really play Agni. Like, the reason why we give, like, for example, Kiki Isis every game is because not really many NA players besides, like, Lasses play Agni at a high enough level. I mean, even MLC Stealth, he doesn't really go to Agni too much. He'd rather go to, like, I don't know, like Scylla or
Agni
whatever's
can't build Warlock Sash safely.
Yeah, exactly. So generally, like, Boosh, the same thing. It's like, you see a lot of preference towards Poseidon or like Kronos mid, for example. But overall, I feel like Agni is still right there. It's just NA players don't play him. I know EU players play him, which is why we planned for Lobster playing Agni, because I still remember, even from the closed beta days, that Lobster has a nasty Agni.
Yeah, we don't want to mess with that.
Yeah, so I think he's definitely like he's just a solid pick. Strong A+, maybe even like an S-, I'd say.
See, I like him in A right now because I think that he is extremely balanced. I don't think he's broken. I don't think he's warranted for bans unless the player's an absolute master. I think he's a perfect A. I think he's the focal point of balance as he's always been.
Of course. Yeah, no, I agree as well. And there's a lot of counterplay and room to breathe around his pressure. And he's just a good pick. And I like him. I like him in A.
Next up on the list is going to be a Muzenkob. Now, this hunter does not get a lot of screen time. Very easily ganked. For me, Allied, this is kind of like the perfect B tier because he is in the hands of a master. He is very good, but you must pick the comp around him.
Yes. No, absolutely. I think I'm losing Cobb. So if B tier is more of like picking the comp around, and I'm losing Cobb fits that, he's definitely a last pick. And not last pick as in like this guy is like bad. A last pick as in you need to see the full enemy team comp before you can actually pick him, because one wrong pick, and it comes up 9 times out of 10 in competitive play where it's like, I can't do it anymore because of this jungler, this middle lane, this support, like, and you're gonna run into that a lot, especially with Amos and Cobb. He could still be picked, and he's still really strong. He's a hyper carry. He's one of the top hunter hyper carries there, there is. He just, if you get him 30 minutes in the game, he's gonna carry the game. So, but that's the biggest problem with Amos and Cobb is that he's just completely like, you need to set him up. You need to babysit him through levels 1 to 10. You need to make sure he doesn't die 8 times. And then even in the team fight, because he has no CC immunity and has no escape, he really just relying on movement speed and hives. It makes it really awkward because if they take out the hives, then you're slow, and you also lose a lot of attack speed, which is pretty much primarily where your hypercarry potential is going to come from. But also, if you get pinched or you're out of position by just a little bit, he's one of the squishier AD carries, so you're just going to die. And it's not fun.
During that, I did get a sub, dude. Thank you very much, Dirt Runner. Me and Allied seem to be on the same page in that. We're going to move on to On Her, a very large pick. I'm going to let the Hunter Master take this one.
Well, so On Her is pretty much the early game king, the jungle king, or whatever you want to say. So generally with On Her, he will dominate the lane. He has a great laning phase, great early aggression. His passive is broken. I mean, he basically has true damage from level 1 to 10. Like he hits the hardest out of any hunter early game, and he has pretty much full clear past like, I think it's like level 4 or something. I don't even know. Like, he just full clears the wave. His ult is amazing. While it does fall off a tad bit, and he has no true attack speed steroids on his kit, he makes up for it with his pillar because it gives him like an attack power boost, which is broken. Not to mention it slows the enemies around, and you can make some pretty sick plays with like pillar stun. You can even pillar, like for example, Snoopy would do this to any other like player he was against. Like when he knows they're trying to escape, he'll pillar behind them and catch their escape and force them just to be slowed and block their escape completely, and he would kill them. Like that's just one example of just the utility that On Her can bring to the table.
So then, I mean, it's S or S plus, right?
I think he's like a solid S. Like yeah, S tier. He's more of like you could definitely pick him early and be okay, or you can counter pick him, or you can like the first 2 picks. Yeah, I don't think he's the first pick, first ban material. So, but he's definitely strong enough that like if you don't want to show off your picks, you could just lock in a safe On Her and just be okay.
For me, I don't know that I agree with it not being first pick, first ban. His win ratio over the weekend was through the roof.
No, it was.
All right,
I mean,
so well, let's keep going. Let's go to Anubis here. I think it's pretty clean to say just Anubis sucks, right? I mean, we wanted him to be good. We thought for a minute he'd be good, and he's not.
Anubis. So the thing about Anubis is that like he's like all burst damage, and his objective control is actually really strong because you can like cheese Gold Fury at like level 5. You can do Fire Giant on spawn. I mean, Mace to Face has taught me that in ranked. But besides that, he's just very awkward. He's like, I don't know. If you catch him out once or twice early game, he falls way too far behind. And really, he's just really strong when he's ahead, but really bad when he's behind. And when you value it compared to other picks, I mean, why wouldn't you just pick Poseidon, who is faster, safer, does pretty much the same burst damage or the damage that you need to get out there, and you can still get away and live to tell the tale.
Real quick, I want to read, weak overall, the team competition will need to be built around a character in this pool to make them work properly. Unlikely to be found in competitive environments unless the player is considered a master of a god. I just read C tier, and that to me describes Anubis.
Yep. No, I think he's a C tier.
Anubis is going to fall even further. The poor guy will never see the light of day until he is completely reworked. Shame. Next up is going to be a big talking point this weekend, and that's going to be Ao Kwang. Now, Ao Kwang fell down really hard because he had no competitive usage whatsoever. Now, we have to consider 2 things. One, Cyclone Sprint brought him out to beat Bologna, and he's getting buffed.
I mean, that was like the story of the weekend, right? I mean, Devious brought out Wukong, and Wukong's not even buffed yet. Like, oh, not looking forward to it.
For me, I think Ao Kwang, either goes into A or A+.
I think he's strong. I for sure want to say he's a solid A, maybe even A+ worthy. So I'm cool with either or.
All right, we'll put him in A for now. We'll leave him in balance. We'll reevaluate as time goes on. I know Cyclone Spin's probably sitting here like, put him in S+, put him in SS. Like, just But for now, I think it's a good point to put him in A. He seems balanced. He'll probably wind up being a little bit higher, but for now, we'll leave him there. Next up on the chopping block is going to be Aphrodite. Now, we did see a little bit of Afro this weekend with Captain Twig. Not Captain Twig. Maniac?
You and Kiki?
Man, stop.
Oh no, Zyros.
Oh, Zyra's played right in the mid lane.
Yes.
I think she's great in the mid lane.
She's strong. We've run that before. The biggest thing is just it depends on like I think the enemy team's style of play. So like if you'll notice, like some teams prefer like they won't focus on the mid harpy objective as well. Like some teams won't like for example, a team like TSM, they'll fight you at both mid harpies depending on the fight every single time because they just want both mid harpies. But some teams will just go are like super happy with the 1-for-1 trade and they'll just, focus on soul lane. Or you could be data care and be like, yo, let's trio lane, dual lane, stuff like that. So I think it really depends on the style of play you're going for, but I think she's definitely really strong. Like Kiki, we've run it in the past with Kiki, and it's not like we don't run it. It's like very, it depends on like what they're picking, but we have like thought about it. Like even for the games in the finals, we thought about picking Afro at one point.
Real quick, Slam Jam, thank you for the sub once again. And there's a 4-month anniversary that'll be coming up as David Sin. Allied, I personally love this god. I think she is incredibly powerful. She doesn't get a lot of time, though. I mean, that's what it comes down to is she's not being used. So it looks to me like from what you've described, this is going to be another A tier.
Yeah, I mean, really, like she has her downsides and she has great benefits, but generally, like most people, I think would just consider her like okay for now. Not too strong, not too weak. I think A tier is fine.
Next up on the block is going to be Apollo, and I think before we give this one to the Hunter player, I'm going to start off by saying that this character, to me, is at best a B tier.
Yeah, no, I agree. The problem with Apollo is just they gutted like the strongest thing about him, which was kind of like his lane clear, because really to rotate so for Apollo's ult to really work, especially in this kind of meta, you kind of need lane control. And Apollo, even in Season 1, didn't excel in lane control. It's not like he lost matchups, or, it's not like he won all matchups and was considered, like, God mode Apollo for so long in Season 1. It was mostly because, it was just mostly because he pushed the lane. I mean, blue buff pushed the lane, and then ult because you have lane control, because you push their creeps faster than they can push your creeps. And that's really the Apollo game plan. But now that he can't push the creeps and doesn't have lane control, it's really hard to kind of ult over. On top of the other nerfs, like for example, his ult doesn't bounce people up. They've nerfed his utility here and there. Like his dash doesn't knock people up anymore. It just really has hurt him overall. So I think he's a strong B tier.
Next up is going to be Aphrodite. I'm sorry, no, Arachne. Now, I know that you guys want to play that in the mid lane, and I have to encourage you at all points not to do that. Jungle's good. Jungle's maybe even great. Solo is crap. Mid is crap. Not really the flex pick that people thought she could be, though she does have some potential in certain matchups. To me, I think this character is an A tier. She does certain things very well, certain things very poorly. But, I mean, we didn't really see her this weekend, which was kind of a surprise.
Well, the biggest thing for Arachne that early game, jungle control, like everything up leading to team fights, she excels at. She's by far the best. Like
and then team fights.
Yeah, then team fights happen and she's like, here's some spiders. And then I can't do anything else. Like that's pretty much the story of Arachne. So for ranked play and stuff like that, casual ranked play, Arachne, you could pick her every game and just stomp on nerds like all day long. Like that's cool, right? Even I do it. I'm like, I'm feeling some Arachne, whatever. But in competitive play, you gotta be really careful with the pick because it can either be snowball goodness or useless. That's really the story.
A tier.
Strong A.
Next up on the block is going to be Ares. Now, this character saw a lot of play during relegations and during the split. By the way, thank you. Oh, Dust, what the fuck? Dust just donated $80. Oh, no, wait. I think he owed me that money. Never mind. That doesn't count. Get out of here, Dust. Ares saw a lot of play online. We didn't see too much of him at LAN. I think this character is very abusable, right? I mean, you could really abuse what he does against him, although I also don't think that a lot of the players are playing him right. Even the top players are not using Bolster's defenses correctly. For me, I really think that this is kind of like an A- or A character. Pretty balanced, does things very well, does some things very poorly. Let's give it to the dual lane guy, and that's going to be Allied.
I think Ares is strong. The thing is, it's just completely overshadowed with, like, the focus on Sylvanas, Athena, Geb. You know what I mean? So like a lot of people just forget Ares really exists. But I think picked into the right situations with the right team comp, Ares is. I mean, he's just nasty. Like he can do so much and carry games. Like he's one of the original support carries in the game. Like you just
So
go into ranked and you're like, I'm gonna Ares.
give me a letter.
I'm gonna say A minus. Actually,
Alright.
A minus is
So
strong.
you like A minus?
Yeah, I like A minus.
I think I agree. Next up is going to be Artemis, a character who was in the S tier at the beginning of the season, who has strangely fallen off, most notably to the fact that On Her got so buffed. This character, me, is not in the paradigm, right? And while I think
Yeah.
she's balanced, she doesn't have a place. You have On Her, you have, what other hunters are great? Rama, Shiba Lanke, and there's enough hunters to get through the picks and bans phase without even looking at this character.
Yeah, it really just comes down to the same. He falls in the same category as Amuz and Cobb, where team compositions hurt her. Like a lot of guys just hurt her, and really, she's one of those like I need to get to late game to carry the game kind of guys. She excels in team fights and control, right? But the problem is she suffers a lot of bad matchups in laning phase, not just through the hunters, but through the supports. A lot of supports bully her, especially warrior supports. So with the fact that like you could just kind of focus her down, she can't get away. It's really hard to pick her right now in the meta.
Okay, so with that, do you feel you need to build the comp around her, or does she fit onto most comps if you're going to pick her?
You have to build a comp around her, absolutely.
So then you're looking at B or B plus with what you described. I'm going to let you pick.
I'm gonna say B plus because there are still situations to pick her, and she's definitely a lot stronger and a lot more viable.
The easier
than
way to
Apollo
say that is she's just better than Apollo.
But yeah, there you go. You got it.
I don't think we need to explain why Athena is S plus.
No, she's. Yeah.
Anyone who watches esports knows that this god's amazing. Taunt's incredible. Global presence. Blah blah blah. Let's just get through it and move on to Awelish.
Of course.
Awelish, one player is playing this god and he's doing it decently.
I think Awilix is strong. It's just the problem with her is it's all right. Her setup is just so unreliable. Like,
Yeah.
and that's the biggest thing that really prevents players. Like, you have to build a team comp around her to really utilize it. Because if she just goes into a team comp with no knockups, it's just unreliable to hit Suku and then make him go up in the air and then pull him down. It's just unreliable. So that's why a lot of players just preferably counterpick her. But even then, she's just in an awkward state. Not to mention her jump's slow. I mean, her ability-based damage is great, and I think she can carry games, but I think it's all team comp with her.
So for that sounds like a B plus to me.
Yeah, that's a B plus.
That sounds like a B plus. I think she's better than that. Honestly, I really do, but we don't have any evidence to back it up.
Yes.
I think as time goes on and people get more into this tanky jungler kind of build, I think she'll do better. But for right now, yeah, I mean, I think it's possible.
Yeah, I agree.
Bacchus. Now, I would like to start off by saying I think S minus or A plus is going to be where he's going to land.
I agree.
So, Bacchus Intoxicate, I mean, very little to say about it. It's huge range, impossible to miss, does a ton of damage, and dazes people for 8 seconds, right? You have Belly Flops, probably the best steal move in the game.
Yes. I mean, it's a hard knockup, and there's very few moves that have a hard knockup because you can't beads or Aegis that while you're in the air.
For me, I think that in the right hands, this character is broken, but because not every character is going to have this playstyle, he's more of an A plus to me.
Yes. I mean, it comes down to the same thing where he's just sadly overshadowed by all the other, like, S plus tier supports, Athena, Sylvanas, Geb, etc.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not that he's bad. He's definitely, like, if these guys maybe got toned down, he'd probably be a top pick.
Yeah.
But I think he's a strong S minus A plus, wherever you feel that he should be put.
A plus
I'm
looks
not too
good to me.
familiar with the... Okay, A plus is good.
Next up on the list is going to be Bakasura. Now, of course, I'm a solo laner. I know how strong Baka is. Incredible pick. We should note that the best Bakasura player in the world is Cyclone Spin, and it's by quite a margin. And something that's going to weigh a lot of, have a lot of weight on my opinion this time is going to be the fact that Cyclone played 6 gods in 7 games, lost 1 game, and the only game he lost was with Bakasura.
Yes. And I think that was a big example of jumping the gun, where, like, so if you notice, TSM usually will ban out Bakasura, right? Like,
Right.
They just don't like dealing with it. So they left it open this time, and we kind of fell into their trap by early picking Bakasura. And that was like if you ever seen our games, you know that Cyclone Spin loves the last. That's where he is. He's all about the counter pick.
Right.
Instead, he just relied on the fact that Bakasura wins all like the tanky matchups, but he didn't expect the Yanis solo. He just completely flew over the radar, right?
He really didn't know. I mean, normally Cyclone would have been diving. I see that. That to me, now that you're bringing it up again, it didn't seem like he was playing the normal Bakasura. I still think he's strong. I definitely think it's going to be S or S minus this week.
Yes, I think it's S. I still think Bakasura does what he does well. He's a great carry. He shreds tanks. He lane control, diving, the little Bakis, like everything's good about him. I think just the loss, it came down to a little bit like, oh, Baka's open? All right, let's get it. Nothing could go wrong. And it was like, oh, wait.
Yeah.
Like,
see, Ally doesn't actually have a lot of practice with Bakasura because when we used to play, he wasn't allowed to play Bakasura.
Yeah, no, I was not
I played him 300 games in a row. That's not a joke. I think it was actually more than that.
No, it was. I'm pretty sure it was like 1,000 or something.
Get out of here. That would be like 800 losses. Next up is going to be Bastet. Now, she's not seeing a lot of play anywhere, and the one time we saw her this weekend, she got stomped on.
The thing is, Bastet has really gone down because if you notice, what's in right now is junglers with a lot of utility. While Bastet, it's not that she brings a lot of utility. I mean, she has a slow, and she has 2 slows. Her ult counts as a slow as well. The biggest thing is she's like a big damage.
Right.
But early game, considering a lot of junglers right now in favor are early game like focus because invades are so popular right now. So, Thor, Thanatos, Humbats, they all excel kind of in that area because they have early game tools and early game utility. While Bastet kind of needs a little bit more to ramp up and be like oh my, I just lost a Phoenix. Oh no, Cat Claw hit me for 800 damage. You need a little bit more than that, and that's through the mid to late game. So I think she's really strong. Like, I really do. It's just, in competitive play right now, it's kind of hard to pick her, but I don't think that really takes away from her being like as strong. So I want to say like an S minus, if anything.
I was thinking S minus A plus. We'll average it out there to put her right where she belongs in the S minus for now. Big drop off from S plus at the beginning of the season.
Yes.
Next up is Lady Bell.
S plus. She's amazing.
Yeah, I mean, just this character's not balanced. That's what it comes down to.
I agree.
I actually said to Scott, I was talking to Scott Zier over the weekend, who was the main designer for the God. I'm like, yeah, you gave her a bunch of OP moves, but the one that was supposed to be OP wasn't, and we all used the Scourge. And then you nerfed it. Now we're using the one you wanted to be OP, and he started laughing. He's like, yeah, just come on, use the hammer, right?
Yeah, no, the hammer hurts.
Solo lane, I think she is an S tier character. Jungle, I think she is S plus, and given the fact that you could put her either one, solidifies her S plus because her picks and bans phase is incredible. Her win ratio over the weekend was incredible aside from Trigg's double drop. I think Cuba played it well. I don't think Zalia did. Cyclone handled that pretty cleanly, but Bologna is still probably even the top god in the game and will result in an S plus placing. Next up is Cabrakan.
Oh man, Cabroken. I wish he was good.
I just want him to be good, man.
I'm scared because I know if he did get good, he'd be so annoying to deal with. So
he's Fat Loki. If he's ever gonna be good, he's broken.
Yes, yeah, just because of his kit. So, but for now, he is. But I think he's a C. Yeah, whatever you feel like he should be.
I was at C. Incom was right. I mean, there's just nowhere for him to go.
Yeah, he can't do anything. He doesn't excel in anywhere either.
His solo lane is too slow to come online. His every other role except for support is just the worst, and then his support is trash. Like, he's just bad. Next up is Chuck. Can I start off by just saying I think Chuck sucks?
No, you're right. You're just right.
There is zero reason to pick this god ever. Well, he's Apollo.
Yeah. No, he's like the Apollo of Soul Laner. He had great glory. I think the biggest thing about what people don't realize is Chalk excelled mostly because his attack speed debuff. I mean, he had a crazy attack speed debuff on his 3, which affected objectives, and that was a big reason why he was picked. I mean,
right.
Incon saw Chalk support with success for so long because of that.
Yeah.
So now that he's just a big walking, just Chalk mess with the silence. That's really it.
It's bad. It's just bad. B tier. And if one more person tells me that he beats Chang'e, I'm going to throw myself into a river. Next up is Chang'e.
I think she's good. I think Chang'e is really good.
See, for me,
I mean, even though I
she
lost my
does not
Jazz
need a
game.
team comp at all. This character goes on every team comp. The only issue is that if she gets pushed out early, it's going to be trouble, right? But just like we saw with Divios' Janice, mages can function.
Yeah, no, I think mages have a strong showing in the soul lane. Cyclone pulls out Chronos. It really comes down to like not enough people are experienced in the soul lane, and it's really there's so much untapped potential.
Oh, yeah.
And I've always known that, and I've always been glad that people just kind of do the follow Omega route, where it's like Ramana every game, Hercules, like let's go. But honestly, there's a lot more options to counterpicking and playing the team comps correctly. So, but for now, like honestly, I just don't have any evidence that Chang'e can work. I mean, the last showing was before the LAN, and Devios picked Chang'e solo, and that's when they lost to Denial. So I don't know. I don't know exactly how.
No. He lost to Denial with
Hmm?
Odin.
Oh, did he win his Chang'e game?
He
I
didn't
don't
play
remember.
as Chang'e.
He picked Chang'e.
No, he did. He picked Odin.
Someone picked Chang'e. I remember seeing a Chang'e. That's the last Chang'e I remember. But
Odin sucks.
yeah, no, I hate
We'll get there though. All right, so give me a letter.
I'm gonna say like an A minus. I mean, like I think she's not B material. It's just A minus, where it's like, she's definitely strong. I don't know how it's gonna work.
Okay, A minus it is. Next up on the block is going to be Kronos. Now remember, guys, this guy can be a hunter. He can be a mid. He can be a solo. The flex pick potential on this character is huge.
Kronos is strong. He is not only good mid, he's good solo, and potentially could be good AD carry, but not worth it to put him there. But
Sure.
mid and solo, good to go. Like Boosh proves it. Like you can definitely run Kronos mid and stomp people. I want to say A plus for sure. Or
Oh,
if
see,
not,
that's really low. I was thinking S or S
S
minus.
minus. Okay, I'm down. The only problem with Kronos, right, is with an S or S minus pick. Maybe you can correct me. He's not an early pick kind of god. I'm gonna say like he's the safe Agni pick, third and fourth, or second and third.
See,
Like,
for
you
me,
just add him to the team comp.
I do it differently. Is if I think you're coming at a chaos side and you have that second pick potential, if you pick Kronos in your first 3 picks and leave the solo option, they can't counterpick you. You could wind up wanting him for solo and then not picking your mage until last, and then making the enemy solo laner pick themselves into a counter matchup. There's so much potential there.
Yeah, no, I agree. There is a ton of potential, but the only thing is there's not too many players that are experienced with it yet either.
True.
So that's why I'm too scared to really put him. Like I think he's worthy of S, but I know a lot of players would also disagree. And in my head, I'm like, when I think S, I'm like, well, Anher's there, Baka's there, and then I'm like, can Kronos really be there? I think he's like an S minus. I'd
Okay.
say.
I think I'll agree with that. We'll average it out and put him in S
Yeah,
minus. We'll
we
see
can
how he
average it out.
does. Now, next up is Cupid. And this annoys me because every time I see Shibalanke picked and Cupid isn't, I want to die.
Yeah.
Now, Shibalanke can carry. We know that. We've seen it happen. Right? But how does Shibalanke get to the end game against Cupid? Allied, lead us through it.
It really comes down to how you play the lane matchup out, and Cupid excels from anywhere from level 1 to like 13, right? That's like kind of like where Cupid's like, man, he does so much damage. Like, but the biggest thing with Cupid is that his attack speed steroid, it's on his dash, and it's a measly 30%. Like, it doesn't really count as for hyper carry potential. His abilities kind of fall off late game. While they have great utility, he has sustain, and he has the Cupid ultimate, which is an AoE cripple. The biggest problem with Cupid is not a hyper carry, and that's what's really in right now for hunters. I mean, if you notice, I just picked every game, and pretty much everyone followed suit, was that you just pick a hyper carry. It's getting to the point where the matchups aren't mattering as much in the dual lane, other than the fact that can you get away? Yes, then it's viable. And
So
that's
then
really
if
the
Cupid
biggest thing.
is not shining in his one matchup that he does very, very well in, where do you put him?
He's just an A tier. I mean, like, you could
Okay.
still pick him. I think he's strong, and you can still pull that matchup out, but the problem is you got to be able to carry. And that's the biggest thing with Cupid, as he does fall off a little bit throughout the mid to late game. He doesn't bring the same oomph. Shibalanke with Ikvo Execution done, you're guaranteeing a carry. Cupid with the same items done, it's not the same. You can't
taking
guarantee it.
you might get the kill.
Yeah, it's a huge risk too as well, depending on your team composition, because, like I said, it's all about hyper carries right now. Like, the hyper carries to deal with these tanks, to deal with the mages, you got to be able to two-shot someone.
All right, next up is going to be Fenrir. Now, This character is even better than I was anticipating. I had him in A. I definitely see him going up. Cyclone played him brilliantly this weekend. I'm very surprised we didn't see Divios go back to this as well. For me, right off the bat, I'm seeing an A+.
Yeah, I think Fenrir is still really strong for doing what he has to do. I mean, Weekend likes him in the jungle as well.
Yeah.
We didn't pull it out because we don't pull out Fenrir in the jungle so much because there's other gods that can do the same thing as Fenrir
Sure.
and carry a little bit harder, like Thanatos. But the thing is, Fenrir early game domination. I mean, he's a great counter pick for soul lane depending on the gods that you're
Yep.
going against, and he has great rotations, great sustain with
Fits onto
the
any
kind of-
comp.
Yeah. So I think he's definitely a strong A+.
Next up is going to be Freya. This god should be all over the place. I don't understand why we don't see her.
It's just the lack of early game. I mean, really, the core. Once you get the core items done, yeah, Freya's explosive. But considering how many things can really affect her, it's so hard to kind of get her like past the first 5 minutes. And really, when I say the first 5 minutes, it's when you have Fatalis done, you're good to go. That's it. But there's so many things that affect you, and also the biggest thing is in the hunter role. If the other hypercarry hunter gets ahead, then it's really hard to kind of like catch up. You can't 1v1 him until you get some more magic items done. And also when it comes to late game carry potential, hunters with big crits, if I crit for 1,000, that doesn't mean anything for Freya that doesn't really crit.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
that's why I think she's just an A tier. I mean, you can still pick her. She's still good. I don't think she needs a nerf. I don't think she needs a buff. She's just where she is. A.
Next up is Geb. Now, not quite the top tier that we've seen from other supports, but still used a lot. This character to me is looking definitely like an S or an S minus.
Geb, yeah, I think Geb is just a strong S tier. I mean, you're gonna want to get him as a safe pick, first or second, every single game. You might see him banned sometimes, so I like that's the only reason because Geb is, if Sylvanas and Athena are taken off the table and picks and bans, you're almost gonna see a first pick Geb, at least for most top teams. It's just the go-to. He's very safe. Yeah, he has a little bit of troubles here and there, but I mean, Geb Shield OP. His ult is great initiate. I think he's a strong S.
All right, next up is going to be Guan Yu, a character that was very low last week. We saw a strange amount of play. Badger bringing him out in the solo lane and making him look real strong against a lot of characters. And then, of course, Cyclone Spin, 2 wins with the character in the solo lane as well. This is looking like a big jump to A+ to me.
Yeah, I think Guan and A+ is like the right way to go. Incon's been saying forever, Guan is like the way to deal with Geb, the way to deal with like Sylvanas because of the shred. People forget that Talu Assault shreds protections,
Yeah.
not to mention Guan's sustain. Absolutely insane considering how much healing he does over time. He has a ton of utility, and his ult, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, it does the highest base damage in the game.
It's the highest physical hitting attack in the game.
Yeah, so I think an A+ is good. I mean, he's very early game focused. He definitely drops off in the mid to late game, but where he drops off in damage, he brings up
Sure.
with utility and sustain. Yeah.
I see Hades falling from S to A this week. He didn't get used by the one player that uses him.
Yeah, I think the Hades was definitely a flavor of the month pick, which is why you saw him in S tier. But people are starting to realize and starting to catch on that Hades, well, he's still the same Hades that we all know and love. He wins lane, loses game. I mean, you can focus him in team fights. His rotations are a little bit slow. Yeah, you can get the tower in the first 5 minutes, but Hades, even with all that farm, if you are doing well, if your team is doing well, he gets bullied. I mean, he walks in, and if he gets anywhere near behind, he's just gonna feed. You're gonna go 0-8 with Hades. It just happens. You can't control it. You can't. It's just the way.
But
he's
if
designed.
you get ahead and you do get that tower in 5 minutes
you
and let your
dominate.
jungle get big, I mean, it's gonna be GG. That's why I like him in A. He fits on a lot of comps. He's not really ban worthy right now. Like it.
Agreed.
Little discussion here for Habwa. He's just B. He's just B.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, he just doesn't do any damage. All he does is damage, and his knock-up is good, but he's the most easily ganked character in the game.
Yes. No point to pick him when you have Agni, Isis beside it on the table. There's no point.
Next, we're looking at Hell. Again, this looks like a B tier character to me.
Yes. Hell, I think, still really strong in the right hands, but no one plays her, and she gets ganked, and if she falls behind, you're going 0-8.
It's
Is
kind of
how
like
she is.
Hades. Like, she wins the lane but loses the game, right? But the issue is that she doesn't win the lane as hard as Hades. She'll carry a little bit better, but she's not going to win the lane as hard as Hades.
Yes,
if she gets pushed out, it's over.
Oh yeah, it's bad.
Hercules.
I think Hercules is still strong. I'm gonna say he is of A or A plus potential.
You
it
are
just comes
lit.
down. What you think he's like S?
Dude, you guys banned him 3 games in a row.
Well, okay. So granted, we did ban Hercules, but it wasn't so much for the solo or jungle or whatever they were running. It was mostly it was just our game plan going into it. It wasn't out of like the fact that
because
Hercules
you
was
knew
strong.
that the strongest pick for Trix tank was Hercules.
Yeah,
right?
It was more of limiting a player
But
rather than like
he could have picked it for that. Cubo could have brought him to the jungle. Maniac, or rather, Azalea could have brought him support. I mean, solo. He's a high-tier solo. He's a high-tier jungler. And what Trix looks like, it's a high-tier support. He plays 3 roles at top level.
Yeah, I guess you're right in terms of flexibility.
OP.
Yeah. Well, I do know that Weekend definitely values him a ton in the jungle. While we didn't see it, the situation didn't come up. And Cyclone does play him, and he does play him really well. We've had times where Cyclone has had to play Hercules. So I do agree with you there. So I want to say he's like, I guess he could be a potential S tier.
See, I'm of the influence that he's S bordering S plus. So we'll average out into S.
Okay, that's fine.
Character's not balanced. Ho Yi kind of sucks.
Yeah, there's no point to really value him.
None at all.
It's not that he's like bad. Like
there's never a reason to pick him.
Yeah, just no reason to pick him. Granted, like the small buffs he will receive soon is just like Hunter's Mark is OP, so I'm scared. Like,
wait, he's not getting buffs.
No, I'm saying if he does get buffs in the future, like he is going, like he's potentially like right now the way he's riding, one good buff to either his attack speed or his one, he's broken, like hands down. So he's bad for now, but I'm scared he could potentially be broken one day.
All right, so where are we looking?
Hun Snacks?
No, I'm talking about Ho Yi. B plus.
Oh yeah, B plus.
Humbots. This is S.
Yeah, S.
Yeah. Insane damage, great control, one of the best ultimates in the game. There's little that we can say about this character that you don't already know. Every top jungler favors this god. Although we didn't see him too much this LAN, he did come out and weaken with a huge performance. He'll go right to S, and we'll go to Isis.
I think Isis is S. I don't know about you.
I didn't agree up until what I've been seeing Kiki do. Because you know what? I've been considering her a mage. Right? But Kiki is playing this style of utility mage that has completely changed my mind. I mean, you put her on a team comp with the intention of making her like a Ra with like silences and stuns and all these like things, just playing her utility instead of trying to play her for damage. She's incredible.
Well, it's also like there's so many factors that come with Isis as well. So early game, she's one of the most powerful mages in mid-early game. I mean, from levels 1 to 3, she generally outpushes and outpokes everyone. I mean, like she does have a hard time here and there with Agni, but overall, like you can invade with her. You have stun, silence, big AoE ultimate that heals and gives protect, like whatever, man. So I think she is a strong S, like easily.
Next up is Janus. Everyone knows how I feel about this character. This character is an S-tier character. He has all the tools you could ever want, but he's not getting played. Although Divios did great with him. Zero's had some decent games with him as well. Let's hear from Allied.
I'm going to put him S as well. I think he's really good. I mean, like, our scrim partners, they play Janus all the time. I think it's more of a mid laner thing.
I can't wait to watch Lassus play that character in a professional league.
Oh, you're gonna
because Lassus is all about the movement. He loves juking and moving around. I mean, that's all Janus is. He's Bastet the mage, right? Like
I am not looking forward to fighting them in the SPL. I'll just say that because I like for Kiki, like he just doesn't prefer Janus, right? Sure. And that's okay. We work.
He does damage.
That, right?
I understand.
And mostly stealth, he played Janus, and then he just doesn't pick it anymore, and that's okay. They work around that, right? But everyone else, especially in ranks, I mean, Janus just dominates games. He is definitely a carry, and if built correctly and if catered to, he will decimate. So I think he's S.
All right, so next up is going to be Kali. We saw her one time this weekend. She did pretty well. I think the character's in a fair point of balance. I like her in A.
Yeah, no, A is good. I don't think she's anywhere stronger or less. Yeah, she's A.
All right, next up is Kulkin. Same thing. Think he's really balanced. We saw him a few times this weekend. Really balanced, does decent damage. Not the best escapes, but still can. Good poke with Zephyr. A-tier character.
Yeah, very A tierish.
Next character up on the block. Now, remember, Kumbhakarna will be getting buffs. Attack speed slow, 30, scaling 5% up to 50%. If you wake someone from Mighty Yawn, that's going to happen, I think, for a maximum of 2 seconds. And then Epic Uppercut does a little bit of damage at the beginning, 75% on the landing, which is going to do a lot.
Now, I love that the Yawn is an attack speed debuff now.
Yeah.
The only problem is it's only 2 seconds.
Right.
And I don't know how that's going to equate into, like, an actual team fight. Like, because there's been times where I've been enfeebling cursed, and that lasts forever. I'm like, I barely can charge my bow.
It's like shooting things underwater.
Yeah, but then 2 seconds, I want to say he's just going to be where he's at still. I mean, yeah, that's nice, and it might help him out in laning phase a little bit because you won't be able to attack for those 2 precious seconds. But in terms of, like, team fight potential, I think he's going to be in the same spot.
Yeah,
honestly.
I see him in B tier. We're going to give it some time before we move him all around and say that he's amazing. I think the character's pretty balanced, but it does require a certain comp. We'll reevaluate this in a few weeks, see how he's doing, but I'm not expecting him to be picked up really any more than he already is. The buff on paper seems a lot stronger than I think it actually is.
Yeah, exactly. I think it looks good, but then when you realize it, it's like, how much can you actually do with 2 seconds, really? So,
next up is going to be Loki.
Ooh, Loki.
I think Loki's an A tier. He fits in a lot of comps. He plays multiple roles. He does pretty well. He's never, like, overshining. I think he's pretty balanced the way he is.
DMC, like, I think Loki's S+. No, okay. He's A tier. I agree. No,
Hunter
I
players.
Agree
Oh, someone could kill me. S+.
Yeah. But he's definitely a strong A tier. I agree.
All right, so put him in A. New topic. Medusa will be placed for the first time this week. I think this character's very strong.
She's probably going to be S+. I mean, I see myself picking her in the first 2 picks. I'll say that.
I think it's a little too soon to say that she's as good as Bologna.
No, I mean, just S tier. I think S tier is a safe, like, area. Because first pick, first ban, I don't know, because I've leaned against her, and yeah, like, she's very annoying, and she can potentially snowball out of control at any moment. But I mean, I don't know. I've dealt with a lot of things in my history.
That ult's OP.
Yeah, it is. It is pretty OP.
I like her in S.
No, so do I. Yeah, I think she's S.
Can you believe that she used to be like 3 times as strong?
I know.
Jesus.
I didn't even believe it at first. Like, when I first shot her, I'm like, she's okay. And then I went against another Medusa as, like, Ulu, and I'm like, okay, I can't do anything. Please stop. Like, oh my, I'm never playing a casual ever again.
Mercury not getting any buffs here. This is just normal Mercury. I think he's A tier.
Yeah, A tier.
I mean, he is just like Agni. I think he's one of the best focal points of balance. He's strong. He can carry games. If he falls behind, he loses. Like, it's real simple. Neith is next. Now, Neith is got a tooltip thing that got changed, but she did get increased scaling from 80 to 90% on Spirit Arrow.
Yes.
So she has better clear.
Yes. It's even, you can one-shot the wave even more now.
So Neith for me, this has always been like a B tier pick. You have to build the comp around her for her to work.
Exactly. Yes. I think that's just where she's always going to be, unless, like, for whatever reason, her laning phase gets too strong to the point where you have to pick her. Like, because, you know, she just will dominate the lane. Where she does control the lane really well, she doesn't really have the tools to confirm kills if you just play it right. You know, you can just play back, chill out, because if you go for the farm game, you're going to win every time.
Next up is going to be Nemesis. Now, we saw her one time this week. Did pretty well, or rather, we saw her a few times, of course, solo as well. She does really, really well. But you can put her on any comp, but she excels against certain team comps. And with that, I think she's less of an S and more of an S-.
Yes, I was actually gonna say S minus for sure. You don't pick her in every single situation. I mean, you can,
You
but
can.
it
That's
doesn't
what
mean
makes her
she
crazy.
excels. Yeah, she doesn't excel. And like, you could be like a challenger jungler, or even like a ranked jungler, right? Making your way from platinum to like, let's say masters, right? And you could just play Nemesis every game and win those games. Like, there's nothing stopping you. She's that good. But there's no reason to pick her all the time. That's the biggest thing.
Next up's going to be Nasha. Now, we had him in A tier. We finally saw him play it in competitive. Didn't work. The comp just didn't suit him. I see him moving down to B.
I don't like Nasha.
Come
It's
on,
just too risky. There's no point of picking it.
Are you
I
saying
want to
B or
say
C?
her. B.
Oh, I was going to say, you're getting close to getting kicked out the stream.
Oh,
Nasha, you're good, man. Do not have to listen to him. You're
no,
great.
B for sure because
Yeah.
you can make use of
Yeah.
the potential of Nasha.
Next up is going to be Nox. Now, she was in C tier last week, and she didn't receive any buffs this week because I'm pretty sure Hi-Rez has forgotten she's in the game.
Yes, I actually when you said Nox, I googled just to make sure that it was still there. So I'm gonna say
Fucking
C
hell.
tier.
Yeah, see, she's trash. Don't play her. That's it. Just don't play her. Nua got picked by Kiki. Tell us about it.
Nua is really strong, especially against healing comps because of the AoE Divine Ruin.
Yep.
But with the utility of Clay Soldiers and the Shining Metal, I think Nua deserves to be picked. I mean, she's not really like an S tier material. She's just an A tier. I think. I mean, she still has like the problems with her, especially like the mid Harpy fights, right? Like she doesn't really bring much to the table compared to like let's say a Poseidon or a Ra, right? But she's still really strong. I mean, she tops damage charts all the time. And get a late game, she can split push. She's really good at getting towers and phoenixes because of the Clay Soldiers.
Yeah.
And if you get hit with the burst combo, you're dropping a lot of health. So,
But she's also one of the most easily ganked gods in the game. Her damage is not super confirmable in team fights because of the idiotic minions. With that, I think she's pretty balanced. I like her in A.
yeah, A is a good spot for her.
Next up on the list is going to be Odin. I think Odin is garbage. If you tell me that Odin isn't garbage, I'm going to bring up regionals.
So here's the story with Odin, right? Like he received buffs, but that doesn't really help him at all. Like the buffs he received, like his scaling's a little bit higher up, but he's gonna be building pretty tanky anyway. I feel like his base stats are like really low because he does I feel like he's just so squishy, especially like if he doesn't have his shield on, you just two shot him. But the biggest thing with Odin is that he brings the ultimate anti-healing ring of truth, and against no jump comps, you can run him in the jungle like Weekend has in the past.
Right.
You can run him solo. I don't recommend that though.
No.
I don't think he wins any
No, you cannot.
matchups there. Yeah.
Actually, yes, you can. Please join my rank games as Odin if you're the enemy solo laner.
Yeah.
Please,
yeah,
Allied is a champion right now. Listen to Allied. Bring him to the solo lane.
I know for a fact Incon doesn't really value Odin right now in support. So really jungle is kind of like the place to go, and it has to be like your team is set up for utility jungle. So he's a counter pick. You have to set up your team for it, and you have to counter pick the enemy team.
So B boys.
Yeah, B is good for Odin.
Like Allied said, I think the biggest point, if the team has a lot of healing, Odin in the jungle's not bad. Otherwise, shit tier. Don't play him. Next up is Osiris. We saw him 2 times this weekend. Once he decimated, once he got decimated. But he is getting buffs. Small base attack speed. Or buff, rather. Small base attack speed. It's like 0.05. I mean, it's not a huge deal. But I think he's pretty balanced. I think he'll, in my opinion, moves up to A. Divio showed that he can still be used, but he probably shouldn't be all the time.
I think he's not balanced quite yet because even when I spoke to Devios about it, and believe it or not, before that match, you know what he told us? He was like, Osiris is trash.
I haven't played him in months yet.
Pick him. Yeah, like I'm never going to play him. It was kind of like the reason why he picked him was kind of like a last resort. Like I needed to do something to win this series. And, his Osiris is beastly. And it kind of like it threw everyone off guard. So once we saw that, like it helped, especially in our games. We saw like he definitely will bring Osiris out if the time calls, which is why the last game of the series he brought it out again. But the thing is about Osiris that people forget is that his invade is still really strong. He can invade with Osiris still.
Third, maybe even second best. I think his invade might even be better than Thanatos.
It's like with the constant slow and he's just whacking on people. Like it's really hard to get away from that.
It's impossible to get away from. The only person who does it better is Bologna.
Yeah.
And even then, if she messes up, I mean, he has a little bit more leeway with the sickle.
Which is why you see Devios, like in the 2 games that he did pick Osiris, he invaded, which is very smart of him. I love the play. Like once I thought about it, I'm like, man, my man Devios, like,
Yeah.
oof. So I think he's like an A minus because the thing is, you have to really set up the team for that, and you have to be prepared to invade. Like you have to, because Osiris on an even setting, I don't really think he can compete with the other soul laners. You gotta take the blue, you gotta take the speed, you gotta take something from them
I agree.
to give Osiris that little edge.
Next up's going to be Poseidon, a character that got picked a lot during relegations and during the split. Didn't see as much time during the actual LAN, but still got picked a decent amount. For me, I think this character is slightly above picks and bans, rather above the what the Agni brings to the table, and is favored a little bit more heavily. I'm looking at maybe an S minus here for me. The damage is good, very easily confirmed. Alad, what do you think?
I think Poseidon is an S tier character. Not so
Oh.
much in terms of alright, so the thing about Poseidon, he's the ultimate safe pick. You can always first, second pick Poseidon and be okay, because what Poseidon brings to the table is not only the Whirlpool Kraken combo, but it confirms mid-Harpy fights. Mid-Harpy fights are guaranteed going to be in your favor with Poseidon, which is why so many players are afraid of Poseidon, especially in the lower tiers of competition. Poseidon is crazy. Like, for example, when we were doing our research on Trig, we noticed every single game in the SPL, they banned Poseidon. They did not want to deal with Poseidon at all, just because of how much he brings to the table. He has great rotations, he has great clear, mid-Harpy fights are just amazing. He's one of the top mid-Harpy fights. I think he's up there with, like, the likes of Isis on her Baka. I think he is a strong S. I mean, he wasn't, like, out of favor. He just wasn't picked because of whatever the strategy was. But it doesn't. I don't think it takes away from the fact that he is the ultimate safe pick, first, second pick every single time.
All right, with that, we're going to look towards Raw. Raw, not a great showing this weekend. Kiki can never play this god again, otherwise might wind up in jail. Jesus Christ. But Lobster, great showing. You know, the games that he did, I think the best in were Raw. I still think the character's amazing. Solar Blessing right now with Lotus Crown and moves in the game. Great mid-Harpy control with being able to snipe it away. I think the character at worst is an S-.
Raw, he's strong, right? Like, he heals, a lot of utility, speed. The ultimate is hype, right? Like, I mean, it's probably one of the most hype ultimates ever. Like, you just snipe 2 people and the crowd goes wild. But the thing about Raw is that he doesn't bring the same damage. At least by what I've heard through mid lane talk is more of like, why pick Raw besides the sustain? Because he doesn't bring as much damage as Poseidon Isis, right? So that's like the biggest thing, is because a big thing with mid is the mid Harpy fight, right?
Sure.
A lot of people have a hard time picking these lower tier gods because sometimes they don't bring enough to the mid Harpy fight and do it safely enough with the damage and all that. So for me, I think Raw is like great for like the A plus tier. Like, yeah, I think A plus, just because I think his sustain is still broken and the snipe is great and he does tons of damage, but he just falls right under like being picked, at least for NA, which is why you don't see him in NA. In EU, that's different. I can't really touch there because I know Lobster favors to pick a lot.
But Lobster is Lobster.
Yeah. So, and they cater to that too, which is why also you see Raw picks, because remember, they ban Poseidon every game. Like, you could check it. Like, they ban Poseidon every single game, and they always second, third pick Raw. So that is probably why you see a lot more Raw out of them compared to an NA team where Poseidon is always open to pick, right? That would make more sense. So I think he's definitely an A+ character.
Okay, next up is going to be Rama. This, I don't think anyone is going to disagree with. S-tier character.
S-tier.
I mean, he goes even or wins every single matchup against Hunters. He is a perfect safe pick. He fits on every single comp.
Yep, absolutely.
Where Shiva Lanke might have a little bit of trouble with certain characters on the comp, Rama can work with anyone. He is the perfect S-tier character.
Yeah, he does what he does extremely well, which is carry games, get dank 420 shots, it is all,
Yeah.
That's it. Like, he's good. Not to mention the cripple dash, man. I don't know what they were thinking.
Oh, Allied! You got so worked.
Dude, I don't know what they were thinking. Like,
That was
Oh, man.
that was the hottest cripple I've ever. For those of you who have missed it, it was Fumball?
Yeah, it was fun. Oh,
Fumball
man.
rolling assault crippled allied in the startup of his fucking rising jaguar. I like squealed like a little girl. Ooh.
I I remember because that was the first death of the whole entire event.
Yeah.
So I just immediately said, "Oh, I'm sorry, guys." Dude, like, I don't know.
That wasn't that. See that there was no option. You played that well, and Fumball's like, nope.
Well, the trade-off was if the jump went off, I was home free.
Right.
If the jump got stopped for whatever reason, I was dead.
Pepperonis.
And I
Yeah,
died.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So this was the character allied also got your his pentakill on. Congratulations for the second ever LAN pentakill. I'm pretty sure, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Shoutouts to MLC Stealth for dropping what would have been the first one. Let's look at Scylla here. I love this character. I think she's maybe a little bit below the Isis pick or the Poseidon pick. I see her as an S-. She can carry a game, though, harder, in my opinion, than any other mage.
I think it really comes down to the team composition of like your style of play. So MLC Stealth, when you think mid, he is the hyper carry middle player, right? I
Right.
mean, he prefers Zeus, which is the OG hyper carry
Stop.
middle. So I mean, like when he was broken, you know what I mean? Like Zeus just carries game. So with Scylla is the problem with Scylla is you need to be babysat a little bit. You need to be helped on. Like you need to help Scylla get to the glory of I can kill you and then I can get a pentakill, no problem, right? So with her, I think she definitely falls a little bit under like Isis Poseidon, but I agree. I think she is S-, potentially like could be broken. It's just her early game is it's just bad.
I see
That's
Cyclone in the chat saying A. Confirmed Cyclone is actually lit. Serket. Now, Serket in the beginning of the season was a little bit lower. She is at this point to me bordering S+. I think she is S guaranteed.
Who?
Serket.
Yeah, no, she's S guaranteed. I don't think she's so with S+, she is that's the thing, like I feel like you could first pick first ban Serket, but there's so much you're giving up. So a lot of people just safely ban Serket because you gotta remember the thing with Serket is that she's very high skill level cap.
Right.
But at the same time, not everyone plays her to her full potential. Like Gars, for example, his Serket was amazing.
Jeez, man.
Yeah. So like that's the full potential of Serket. Like she will just auto win games if played correctly with her utility, her setup, and her crazy burst damage. But if played incorrectly, she is not as strong as some other gods. Because if you're not utilizing her in the right way. But I personally think I don't know. Like I want to say S+ because she is usually first pick or first ban. Honestly, like that's what it comes down to. Like if TSM, for example, if we didn't ban Serket, like let's say for example we banned Sylvanas, and Serket was open, they would probably first pick Serket every
But
game.
does she
I wouldn't be surprised.
dictate the meta? Bellona and Athena dictate the meta.
Yeah. No, I think so. Because I really do. Because
All right.
the thing is about Serket, right, is that leaving that potential pick open and with the potential of like how much she does in the jungle, like you saw with Gars, like you could either go like even early game or you go 9-0 and then guarantee destroy everybody forever.
Wow.
And that's really the biggest thing with Serket, which is why she's so safely banned. You're guaranteed every single time banning Serket if you can't play her, right? So, I don't know. What do you like? You said you wanted her S tier.
See, I was saying she was bordering S+. You're saying it S+. It averages up there. Darren, by the way, thank you very much for the 13 months in a row. And Allied's going to say that this character's fucking OP. Player and ranked. We're going to move to Sobek.
Sobek is good. Strong character.
How good?
I see. So there's not like enough evidence to really say. So he's really strong in the soul lane right now, and he can be okay in support, but
Bionic
that's
did
really
well.
where he shines, right? Yeah, like he definitely can play Sobek, and I think Sobek is still a valuable support. He's just outshined by the current supports, which is like the Athena, Sylvanas, Geb trio, right?
Sure.
So that's the hardest part with Sobek support, but in the soul lane, that's really become a lot more common. You see it all the time, right?
I was actually looking at S- for this character. He's dictating the meta a lot.
Yeah, no, I agree because he auto wins a lot of matchups without really doing anything. He's very safe, and there's not much you can go wrong while doing. I mean, Devios even in the All Star game, he did top damage by far. Like it was just crazy. He was just
Yeah.
ulting, flipping. I don't know.
All right, so I don't know how much heat I'm going to catch for this. I do want to point out Magic Cudgel increasing in damage by an extra 5% to PvE. Master's Will getting 10 damage at all ranks, and the Tiger transformation going to be same at max rank, but a increase by 0.4 seconds at level 1 for the stun. With how well Divios was already doing, this character for me is going to S.
Well, let's see. Like the biggest things you have to ask is like what Wukong, the potential of Wukong, right? I think Wukong could carry games no problem,
I
right?
agree.
That's the thing. Like if Wukong gets to a healthy full build, Wukong is gross. Like no one wants to deal with Wukong with full build. He will solo the enemy AD carry by himself. Master's Will already does a ton of damage. While it was a small DPS damage increase, it's definitely notable that it does do more damage. The 72 transformations, the stun kind of switch is huge, especially for Incon's famous support Wukong. That is huge. Like
Yep.
that is absolutely crazy. So where would you have Sun Wukong before this change?
If he wasn't getting buffed with the way that Divios played him, it would have been S- or A+. With these buffs that are coming in, they are going to affect it because now he can clear better. ICS.
Well, I think definitely you'd have to say like I'd have to see some like actual concrete proof
Sure.
because the biggest thing is like I'm not a soul laner. That's more of like Cyclone's expertise, and I know Incomp definitely loves Wukong support. So I think for sake of just like not getting your sight burns to the ground, I think an S minus because a lot of people still think Wukong is just trashed here, which I don't agree with. I
I
think
don't agree
Wukong
with
is
that at
strong.
all. He has,
It's going to come
of
down
any
to like
warrior, I would say he has the best siege potential. Being able to poke people with that magic cudgel from super far away allows them to get into tier 2s better than almost any other god.
no. I think it's safe to put him in S tier, bordering S, because he could potentially be like the strongest pick of time. Or, like because really it might be the Devios effect. Like he did really well with Sun Wukong those games. So I can't really say. Like imagine if like Devios was like for example when he went Sun Wukong against Cyclone. I think you could still deal with him. You know what I mean?
Well,
So
next up, we're going to keep moving here, is going to be Sylvanas. Few people would disagree that he's at least S, possibly even S+. For how worked he got this weekend, though, he's looking like an S to me.
Sylvanas?
Yeah.
I like okay, so Sylvanas was kind of like open picked a lot. I mean, even last game versus TSM, we like second, third picked him, right? But that was like like those are all strategies, you know what I mean, to deal with Sylvanas. Like we adapted ourselves to deal with it. But I still don't think it takes away from how bullshit he actually is. His laning phase, there's no counterplay to it. He has a dominating early game, dominating mid game and late game with sustain, an Arachne pull, and a giant knockup ultimate. It's a hard knockup, the same as Bacchus's, which means that if you do get caught in it, you cannot beads or Aegis any kind of incoming damage. So it's guaranteed damage and guaranteed setup if you actually get caught into it. You have to pre-beads it or pre-Aegis the Wrath of Terra. So, not to mention, he has two roots. The passive root, which is complete bull, by the way.
That's the
because
most bull. I hate that move.
I don't know who thought that was actually like an okay to give him two roots. Like, please. So honestly, even though like yeah, he wasn't even doing too hot or whatever, I think that was just like the highest level of competition, and
That's
that's
people
also like
just doing their homework.
yeah, like we planned for Sylvanas being available. We had to. There's too much on the table. We gotta suck it up and deal with it. But it doesn't take away from the fact that he's any less bullshit. Because my man Incon loves Sylvanas, so I think he's still S plus. He still dictates the meta. I mean,
Yeah.
99% of teams are still gonna first pick, first ban him. Honestly.
Thanatos, and I know you're not going to love to hear this. This, in my opinion, I think he's very good, but this character's an A tier character.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Oh, really? I thought you were gonna throw some heat my way.
No, we can prefer him because this game. So I think I'll go back on that. I think he's A plus tier. Like the thing is, he's not really strong enough to S tier because he definitely does fall off. And yeah, his execute is really nice and that's good to have. But really, it just comes down to how well you could play Thanatos. I mean, we can just loves playing Thanatos. That's really it. And there's been gods like that where like people come in and they just do extremely well on these gods. Like Ao Kuang, Cyclone's Ao Kuang is amazing, and he picks it like a lot, but like it's not enough for me to be in my head like, oh, he's an S plus tier character. I think Thanatos does what he does well, which is early game control, and given the right picks and situations, I think Thanatos is a strong A or A plus character.
Yeah, I like him in A. Thor. Thor is S.
I think he's a strong S.
Thor's
You
just
can't
S.
really go wrong with S. Yeah.
You know, just like in my opinion, like Poseidon or On Her, this is just a perfect S tier character. Does a lot very, very well.
Yeah. No, Thor is Thor. I mean, utility, global ults, like, sprinkle some passive where, you get extra damage for people being around you. Like, okay. So, yeah, he's just Thor. S.
You can't invade on him. It's easy to invade with him. I mean, his semi-global presence is very, very strong. So, we go to tier.
I think he's A.
I agree. I think
Just
he is very overrated in the current meta, which is why we didn't see him a lot at LAN.
One item makes him useless.
Right,
And I got his
Magi's Blessing takes him out of the fucking game.
That's it. You just build that like fourth, and what's up, tier? Like
Dude, they had Tyr and Nasha on the same team, and they're
Yeah.
like, "Yo, Magi!"
Yeah, like I mean, granted, I think he's good, but he's just nowhere more or less than A.
I
really.
wouldn't pick him before Guan right now. With the way that Cyclone played him, if I could play at Cyclone's level, I would never pick him before Guan, and I certainly wouldn't pick him before Wukong.
Yeah,
And I'm not picking him anywhere near Hercules.
yeah, pretty much.
Ugh.
I think he's just good. A, is a solid pick. He's the safest hunter in the current meta. Safest.
You think he's the
Guaranteed-
safest?
He's
More than On Her.
Yeah, guaranteed. Because on her, you could still misplay and lose lane and get poked out. On her does have a hard time against certain matchups, and one of them is Uller. Uller outranges. You can't outbox him, but where he makes up from not being able to outbox him, you can outrange and outpoke him very easily. So that's the only reason, but Uller isn't as dominant as On Her. That's the thing. And with the proper skill level, I think On Her can dominate most lanes. Uller can't do that to the same extent. He has still mana issues, and he still has bad matchups. But Uller is
I am
the
certainly
ultimate
not
safe
arguing with you about Uller.
pick. Yeah.
I don't know.
Not to mention, Uller is the only hunter that you cannot creep block, or not creep block, deny. Like,
Right.
where, you zone them out.
Hail
You
of
can't
Arrows
zone
is, what,
Yeah.
80 feet?
him. Yeah, it feels like a million. Because you cannot, like, you tag the wave, and he is by far, like, if you're unfamiliar with hunters, like, a lot of people are like, Uller demands a lot of mechanical skill because you have to hit all of your skill shots. Yeah, but if you're just focusing on, like, just being a hunter player and hitting auto attacks, the most satisfying hunter to be good at is Uller. And he is probably, like, I pinpoint him as the most balanced, one of the more balanced hunters. Just because, like, it's very rewarding to hit all your skill shots, but at the same time, it's not, like, the end of the world if you miss him.
Next up is going to be Vamana. I love him in A tier as well. He's pretty balanced. Doesn't win a lot of matchups, doesn't lose a lot of matchups, and has good endgame carry potential.
Yeah, no, I think Vamana's just...
But to me, you're a little bit more wary to pick him. Like right now, Guan, Sun Wukong, Hercules, if you're looking for warriors, all probably better picks. Tier is about even with him, in my opinion.
Well, it comes down to utility. So compare Vamana to, like, a Sun Wukong after this upcoming buff, right? Sun Wukong can dive towers very easily, just like Vamana, but it's a little bit less... It's a little bit easier for Wukong because Wukong can not only heal in his ultimate, just like Vamana, but he also puts a very tanky decoy to tank the tower for him,
Yeah,
guaranteeing damage. Sun Wukong is more mobile.
but has
Sun
less
Wukong-
damage.
Yeah, but he has a little bit less damage, but he's more mobile. His poke is nasty. He has a slow and a hard stun. Vamana really just has an attack speed debuff, which nice at times and a slow. And it's nice at times, and it's great. But at the same time, it's like he's very short-ranged, I feel like, besides that. Like, he has a cone damage, right? Like his 2. And his dash is very great for getting away, but it doesn't have the same mobility as Sun Wukong. Not to mention Sun Wukong has 3 forms of mobility, which one stuns, one's a huge, giant knockup, and the other one is just, you're going far, So I think Vamana is just great in A2.
Next up is going to be Vulcan. I see him following the path as well. This character is decent in the hands of Snoopy in the Hunter role, but other than that, will never go to that duo lane. His solo is not great. No jungle presence, obviously no support presence, and when it comes down to it, he is a mid laner. And as a mid laner, he to me is the same as Kukulkan. You pick him in almost the same spot you're going to want to pick Kukulkan. That to me is A.
Yeah, A. Strong A. Vulcan, I think he's not getting the love that he deserves because I love Vulcan. But the problem with Vulcan, especially with this very early game focused meta right now, is that he cannot really. That's like where he falls short, right? Like that's the biggest problem with him is laning phase. Like his early game, it just kind of it's a little slow. But yeah, I think he's A.
Next up, going to be Shibalanke. This is an S tier character through and through.
Yeah, I mean, like he's not the same as Rama in terms of like just all around goodness. He does struggle in lane matchups, but what he makes up for it is his crazy ult.
And not to mention, he is the hardest hitting character in the game.
Yeah, hitting for 1,200 crits, like no problem.
Hunter hard.
Yeah, no, left click.
No, but his ultimate, yeah, definitely one of the biggest reasons. Blinding people is nonsense. Forcing them to stop moving is crazy.
Yeah, that's why, like, after this upcoming patch, I really want to try out the Medusa in the mix with the Rama and X-Baller and to see, like, more accurately see what Medusa is capable of. Because in terms of utility and bullshit, Medusa is definitely up there with them.
She's just it looks to me like a little bit stronger version of Cupid.
Yeah. Yeah, but that can carry as well. So we'll definitely see, like, where that's going to go.
All right, next up, going to be Ymir. I think this character's A tier. I think he's slightly above Ares, but not quite as good as, like, Bacchus and the rest.
Yeah, no, I think Ymir is a strong A tier. Like, the problem is, it's just, he has a lot of bad things that can happen to him, and he gets caught really easily. I think A is fine for Ymir.
Ooh, place him correctly. There we go. Zeus is B tier for me.
No, B tier for me as well.
You need a team comp to support him. Can be done pretty well in the hands of Masters, but generally speaking is somewhat strong, but not always competitively viable. And finally, we're going to find Zhang Kui, a character that I severely underrate compared to a lot of other players. We saw Kiki play him this weekend to great success. Allied, tell me about Zhang Kui, where you think he should go.
I think he's just a strong A. Like, the thing with Zhang Kui is not any particularly stronger than most middle lane mages, but he does have some positive matchups in the mid lane, preferably Agni. Agni he does excel at, and he's really good at taking harassment. If there's a harassment mid laner like Hebo, or for whatever reason, like, you know, Hebo would ever be picked, but something like that line, he heals off the wave. His card, huge slow, does damage, and overall, if Zhang Kui can get past the early game, he's definitely nasty. But the biggest thing with Zhang Kui is junglers. Junglers right now just make it really hard for him to thrive into like that S minus S tier. So like I think he's a good solid A.
Okay. A tier for Zhang Kui. I had him a little bit lower usually, but obviously Kiki did very well with him, and it looks like this is going to be your tier list for at least this week. I think the hottest note is that most people are going to be disagreeing that I have Sun Wukong so high. As a solo laner, I know that right now poke is a big deal, and realistically, getting that Master's Wheel, that extra 10 damage is going to be a big deal. We'll see how, I mean, he might wind up in B tier in 3 weeks. It's all up to the players, how they use him. The relegations start in a few days, and then, of course, this summer split will be starting soon after that, so I hope you guys are ready for it. Thank you, Allied, for joining me. It was a lot of fun having you.
Yeah, I love you, of course.
You can find Allied at twitch.tv/BokoNoPico.
No.
You can find twitch.tv/allied, and it's going to have 2 I's in there, ALLIIED. You can find him on Twitter under the same handle, I'm pretty sure.
Yes.
Yes, so
yes,
make sure to follow on both. Sub to him if you can. Allied, the Hunter player for AFK, did an absolutely brilliant job at this week's LAN. Slightly below that MVP mark. Cyclone's been a little bit too strong, but Allied did earn the second LAN penta that's had it, I think, in competitive Smites history, at least within North America and Europe. So thank you for joining me, man.
Of course, dude.